What's up, people? It's Naturegirl30 here, and this is another mini Q&A number 5. Hard to believe I've actually done 5 of these things, let alone do 1. But before I get started, I really do want to give a good, hearty, awesome thanks to my dear friend Nj17 for making that little icon for me for my Q&As. I think it looks absolutely awesome. I love it. Thank you so much, and this is what I'm going to actually use for now on for all of my Q&As. Thank you so much for Nj17. Thank you, or NJ. If anybody hasn't checked out NJ on the British Fist, please check him out. Those guys are awesome, both himself as well as Daniel. And also check out NJ's personal channel. It's a lot different. He's a little bit more personal when it comes to his Q&As, as well as some of his videos that he makes are wrestling related. But he definitely has a great show and a lot to say. Please check him out. Now let's get started with this Q&A, shall we? Okay, my first question of this Q&A comes from Xscorp18, or the Scorpion Reviewer, and he asks, who do you think should be the GM of Raw and why? Honestly, let's be real here. Every time they try to do or have a GM for Raw, they try to find a way to sabotage that person, or try to find a way to try to show the crowd how inept this person is. So what is the point of even having a GM if you're just going to get rid of the GM in the first place? But honestly, if I really did have a choice of who the GM would be, I really feel that the GM would be better suited for this job would be Ric Flair. I mean, honestly, I would be all for Ric Flair for being a GM because, number one, he's the dirtiest player in the game, and number two, he's been in the business for a very long time. He may not be up there with Eric Bischoff, but he's pretty darn close. So I really do feel that Ric Flair will probably be the best candidate for Raw because he is tough enough to take care of business when people get in his face. So I'm all for Ric Flair. Seriously, I'm all for Ric Flair. Alright, moving on to my next question. And this next question is going to be from Largest85. He asks, or she asks, do you play video games? Yes. I have to say I am a huge gamer. It is difficult for me to play on my off hours. Well, I mean on the days when I'm actually get off work. I have to play on my off days because I will literally play 8 hours straight of nothing but video games. I will always be a fan of Halo. I love Halo. I haven't gotten Halo 4 yet, but I'm actually planning on buying it. But so far, for a horror genre, it used to be Resident Evil. But now, I don't know, I guess I'm kind of desensitized to the whole zombie thing. With the whole zombie craze here, like The Walking Dead and all that stuff, I'm kind of desensitized to it. So far, my favorite horror genre game so far is BioShock. BioShock will forever be branded in my brain as probably one of the best horror genres you can ever think of, or the best horror games that I've ever played. I have never been so terrified playing BioShock the first time I did. And even when I play it now, it still sends chills down my spine. There's always new places that you go to that still scares the crap out of you. So I love that game. I really do. And it tells a wonderful story, especially the graphic novels. And I'm actually thinking about possibly buying one of the novels just to read because it's a very good read. It's a very interesting story behind it. So so I love that game. But for me, it will always be fighting style games, first-person shooters, and horror games. Yeah, so much. Yeah, I have not played Silent Hill because I'm too much of a coward to play. But for real, I have to say that my all-time favorite fighting game is Mortal Kombat. I have Mortal Kombat on my Xbox 360. Seriously. I love that game. I haven't really beat the Challenge Tower yet because I'm almost at 200, but I kind of got tired and I just stopped playing it. But either or, I am a huge gamer and I have to play during my off days. But if you have any suggestions for any new games to try out, and I am waiting for BioShock Infinite, but if you have any suggestions for video games for me to try out or possibly rent before buying, leave a comment in the comment section below. I'm curious of what you guys have to say about that. And tell me what your games are. I'm curious about that too. His next question is, do you smoke or drink? I drink, but I don't drink a lot. I'm more of a social drinker. So if I actually do go out with friends to a bar, maybe to a party, I probably have maybe 1 or 2 drinks. But I'm really responsible with it. I don't like drinking and driving. I just think it's completely unsafe. And for me, I have to be, if I'm the designated driver, I don't drink at all, and I'm fine with not drinking. But if I am not, or if I'm at home with friends, or if I'm at a party with friends and I know I'm not going anywhere, I'll probably have maybe 1 or 2 drinks and just not drive and stay there until I'm ready to leave the next day. I try to be really responsible about the way that I drink. I don't necessarily like getting hammered. I don't like getting drunk at all, and I'm not getting on my high horse for people that do. I just don't like the feeling of being drunk. That's just me. I just don't like the hangover. I don't like how I am, because when I'm drunk, I just don't like it. So just for me, I try to be responsible when I actually do drink alcohol. And I advise anybody who is of age who wants to try alcohol, be responsible with it. Don't drink and drive. Please don't. I mean, not only for your safety, but for the others that are on the road as well as going home at night. So please be responsible drinking. His next question is, final question is, what are your thoughts on Stacy Keibler? I like Stacy. I mean, I think that she was a really great character. It was really sad the fact that she was never a diva. Well, she was never a women's champion. She actually left not being a women's champion. She started off being a manager on TNA and actually being, no, Kelly was an exhibitionist. But she actually started off being, good grief, I forgot her name. It's not Miss Tessmacher. But she actually started off being a character on TNA or as a WCW. And then when she actually went to WWE, I mean, I liked her character even then. I mean, but the thing is, you know, she really wasn't much of it. She really was a diva. She was a definition of a model diva. But it just really made me sad that she really did have a lot of skills. But unfortunately, she never really had a chance to grab that brass ring and actually become champion. But I don't think she was actually ready for it yet, so it really wasn't a big deal. Besides, she's freaking dating George Clooney. Who cares? She's alright. Moving on from there. Okay, the next question is going to be from Final Limits. And Final Limits' question for me is, his first question is, what are your thoughts on the YWC shooter, the Lex Man? This is probably the 5th question I've actually got about the Lex Man. I mean, I don't know if anybody has beef with him or whatever, but I've gotten a lot of questions about the Lex Man. I don't really understand why. But either or, I really think that the Lex Man happens to be a very good shooter. Everything that he says in this video is pretty much spot on. And he's very passionate about some of some of the wrestlers that he actually talks about, especially Daniel Bryan. It's a given that he's a Daniel Bryan mark, but who cares about that? When it comes to his reviews, he actually does have, not only from a fan's perspective, but he has a business perspective sometimes when he talks about it. Things that he feels like he can improve, and anything that bothers him, whether or not it's going to be well accepted by the YWC or not accepted by the YWC, he tells it like a TI is, and that's the one guy that I really do respect. So I have no issues with the Lex Man. I think the Lex Man happens to be real cool. Moving on to his next question. What if the WWE turned John Cena heel and gave him a Raven-like gimmick with him wearing a leather jacket sitting in the corner of the ring? And how would you haters like my friend Largest 85 react? Well, I guess he's friends with Largest 85, but either or, I really wouldn't care. I remember Raven, and he doesn't have the edge that Raven had. I'm sorry. Can you imagine John Cena in a kilt every single night? No. Can you imagine him with a leather jacket in a kilt, in a corner, crouching down, every single night? No. John Cena really does not have that angle. He has Super Cena. Truth, Justice, in the American Way. That is who he is. That is his character, and that is what he should stick with. If they try to change his entire character into something like Raven, I would probably laugh for maybe a few weeks, but then get completely turned off by it. And especially the casual fans get turned off by it too. They won't really understand the whole change. So honestly, to answer your question, I would not freaking care what John Cena does with his character, let alone whether or not they try to give him a little bit of edge. What they need to do is they need to make him a little bit more human. They need to give him a situation, give him an actual storyline that makes him feel like that he is triumphing for the little man, makes him feel like that he's actually going against all odds. If they actually make him more human, then he will be a better character and people will accept him more and he won't be booed every night. But now, that may not ever happen because they are so afraid of change right now. And let's face it, WWE is probably hurting for money, especially after the Linda Cena campaign when they spent a lot of money, probably close to 120 mil on total for both of her campaigns for the time she actually did ran. So honestly, they're hurting for money. They're doing anything in their power to get money. You see how desperate they are with all kinds of ridiculous storylines that the casual fans like, and how diehard they are with something that's completely stupid in our eyes, but it's great for the kids and also the casual fans. Because unfortunately, the casual fans, they make up the huge majority. Not us, them. They're the ones that are paying the money to go and see this crap. So honestly, they're doing whatever they can to get that dollar. Because let's face it, they got to make up their bottom line. So even if they change this John Cena's gimmick, they won't dare do it because they're going to lose money that way. And that's something they're not going to be keen about doing. But anyway, thank you guys so much for sending me questions. If you guys have anything else that you want to ask me, whether or not it is personal, I will answer it to the best of my ability. Or whether or not it is wrestling-wise, I will answer it to the best of my ability. Thank you so much again for NJ for making that awesome icon. Thank you so much. I'm going to use that for my Q&As from now on. And thank you guys for sending me questions. This is the Naturegirl30 signing off. Peace out. Later.